Der Klassiker, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, and as you can see, the recent history in this series is a one-sided tale. In fact, in their last 3 league meetings, Bayern 3-0. They've outscored Borussia Dortmund 10 goals to nothing. For more perspective, we welcome in Jan Aage Fjortoft and Archie Rhind-Tutt to the show. Jan, I'll start with you. Why is it that Bayern in these games against a Dortmund side that's usually pretty good just seems to own Dortmund? And is there any sign to suggest that things might start to change this weekend?
Well, first of all, at the moment, Bayern is the best team in the world. So if you could call it the Klassiker, you can call it derby, you can call it a big game, they will probably win every game at the moment. And yes, there are some signals that they can do it. I think that there are some signs of Bayern getting him a bit more tired, meaning that, for example, against Salzburg, they just exploded in the 79th minute and not from the start, winning 6-2 in the Champions League. I was watching that game and I thought, what is going on there? I mean, I wanted to compliment Jesse March and Salzburg for doing a great game, and it was 6-2 at the end. And we know that Bayern, when they play, they're standing quite high. They are with the back four standing quite high. And with Erling Haaland in form and some good players who can put him into position, I think there is some small hopes, at least, that Dortmund can be competitive. And for all of us loving German football, we will, of course, love to see Dortmund winning because we want to have excitement during the season, even though we are so highly impressed by the Bayern team.
Archie, Jan mentions Bayern Munich's inconsistencies. You were listening into the Borussia Dortmund press conference earlier today. Is there an air of confidence for this Dortmund side ahead of the matchup on Saturday?
I wouldn't say that Lucien Favre ever really gives off an air of confidence. He very much taps around with his words. He's not somebody for giving big, effusive statements, but he said that it's going to be touch and go regarding the fitness of Mats Hummels, who picked up a hamstring injury last weekend in Bielefeld, and Emre Can, who has just come out of his coronavirus quarantine. And I think that those positions hold the key to how this game is going to work out, because with Mats Hummels at the back, Dortmund have improved defensively a lot since he arrived back at the club. But also it's a question of, are they going to go with the back four? I think that all the tendencies are that they will. And the last time that Dortmund played a back four against Bayern, it didn't end up too pretty. In the game that they played in the Bundesliga in lockdown back earlier this year, they went with a back three, and I have to say it was one of the most hotly contested games I've seen during this period of time, and I thought that Dortmund did well to put up a good fight. I think Erling Haaland is the key player here. When he gets his chance, will he take it? He took one of them in the Super Cup against Bayern, but there was an excellent save that Neuer made in a one-on-one opportunity after that. And there was also a half chance. I think it's hard to say that he should have scored it in the first minute of the game in the Bundesliga that they played last season, that it didn't quite work out for him. So I'm intrigued to see how he prepares for this, because all signs point to him being a player for the big moment.
Jan, is Erling Haaland set up for a big match tomorrow, just given his speed, given the way Bayern Munich play? You mentioned the high line. Is this kind of an ideal matchup for him?
Well, at the moment, with the form he's got, it seems like every game is the perfect game for him, if that be in Bruges away or whatever. I mean, what has impressed me of him this season, remember, we feel people are talking about, will he leave the club? I mean, it's 10.5 months since he started training with Dortmund. It's 1 year ago that he started his run in the Champions League. And I think what it shows that after that season he had last year and he came to Dortmund, remember that great game against Augsburg, coming on, scoring a hat-trick, and still this season he looks like he's improved his game. I mean, we know about his ability to get space for himself. His timing of run, excellent. But I like the way he has developed also into a player that can keep the ball. He is also a team player. Sometimes you see goal-getters, like myself 100 years ago, when I was one against a goalkeeper, I will never pass. I will never see my teammates being in better position. But Erling Haaland got that. And I think that we've seen that this season, that he has taken into another level, and he will love these kind of games because that's why he's in there. He loves his football, great attitude. For him to play Bayern, that is, I guess, for every Dortmund player at the moment, they should feel this challenger role. They should go for, they are playing against the best team in the world, and they're playing them home, and they got some of the biggest talents in the world. So, I mean, that is a great basic for a great game tomorrow.
Archie, from the outside, you look at Borussia Dortmund, we kind of, I know not from the inside, but from the outside, we kind of judge them on how they stack up compared to Bayern Munich. If they do lose this weekend, let's say it's a heavy loss against Bayern Munich, would Lucien Favre be in any real pressure for his job?
I don't think it'll go that far. We've seen Lucien Favre throw the towel in before himself when things have been bad at previous clubs. When Borussia Mönchengladbach lost the first 5 games of the season back in 2015, Lucien Favre stepped down and Gladbach tried all they could to stop him from going. If he was to do something similar in Dortmund, albeit I think we're a long way from that right now, then I don't know whether Dortmund would put up the same kind of fight. His contract is up at the end of the season, and I would say that there's very lukewarm interest from Dortmund on renewing that. If you want to keep your coach, you're going to sign him up for another year. You're not going to let his contract run into that final year of the deal. So I think that Lucien Favre has done an okay to good job with Dortmund. We've seen before how with Peter Bosz and with Peter Stöger that this is not an easy job to find the right balance for. And Dortmund have consolidated their place as Germany's second power. But to take them onto the next stage, it feels like everything's a little too passive for Dortmund's liking. And even though they've kept 4 clean sheets in their last 4 games, they've not conceded at the Signal Iduna Park yet this season, the first time they've gone 4 games at home without conceding in 9 years. There's just something, it feels like there's lacking in terms of the amount of players that they have with quality going forward and the amount of entertainment that that's providing.
Archie, other side of the managerial coin, of course, Hansi Flick. You were listening to his press conference earlier today as well. What are some of the big decisions he faces?
Well, for a start, Benjamin Pavard didn't train today and has not travelled to Dortmund, according to Bild over here. So that would mean that Bouna Sarr will start at right back. He's done okay so far. I think he's made a good impression in the few games he's played. But the real decision that I think he's got to make is which of his wingers does he leave out? Will it be Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané or Kingsley Coman? And I would say that given the noises he's made about Leroy Sané, I can see him opting for Kingsley Coman and Serge Gnabry. I think Leroy Sané is still finding his way into this Bayern side and still finding his way in pretty well. If you saw the goal he scored from distance against Eintracht Frankfurt the other week, you could hear the Eintracht Frankfurt goalkeeper Kevin Trapp saying he's going onto his left foot. He's going onto his left foot and still he slams it in from 20 yards. But I think that what with the way that Coman's performed in big games recently, and also the same has to go for Gnabry, I think that will give them the edge in that respect.
Jan, what's your sense? If Bayern are able to win on Saturday, are we just headed for another 9th straight Bundesliga crown?
Well, everybody will tip that Bayern will win this league as well. But what I think is quite interesting this season is that RB Leipzig, maybe they will be up there somewhere. Gladbach could be up there somewhere. And Dortmund, of course, being the main challenger. The problem in Germany is that the hardest opposition, the Gegner, which I say in German, is Bayern himself. I mean, what can be the trouble at Bayern? Could be a coach who's not up for it or doing funny things that the big management and the Muppet show around them when they are bad could influence their game. But now with Hansi Flick, you seem that you have a personality, you have a former player, you have a good leader. I mean, everything he does, it seems so right. I mean, if he leaves one player out, he will come on. And Archie said, I mean, Sané came on and you thought Robben was back in business. I mean, it was exactly the same goal. So I think the only one who could stop Bayern this year as well is Bayern themselves. They've played many games this season. It's intense. They have to find the right balance, how they use their player. Could the Alaba story with him not signing the contract be a big problem? I think that somehow they will find a solution there. You saw Boateng being been out of favor, and then he's playing well, so you probably sign him as well. So Bayern look good at the moment, and I think that what the other clubs got to learn from Bayern, because the other clubs can't hope that Bayern get worse. They have to improve themselves, because I think at the moment, and I've followed Bayern for many, many years, and I think now they're working very good on the field and outside the field, and they found somehow a balance there as well. So, but let's just hope that Dortmund tomorrow, I mean, remember, they lost against Hoffenheim 4-1. I mean, so there is still a hope that the best team in the world can lose a football game.
Archie, you're on the ground there in Germany. What's the sense that you're picking up? Do people have a feeling that if Dortmund doesn't get it done this weekend, that's it, done and dusted, Bayern going for number 9?
I think that even if Dortmund were to win this, you'd still pick Bayern as the favourite for the title, simply because of how well Bayern perform against the rest of the division and how no one can really get near to them. As Jan says, Bayern are their own worst enemy, and cooking up the storms that they have in the media this week with David Alaba's contract situation, you saw how unhappy Hansi Flick was and stated that on the record as well. But ultimately, I don't think that Dortmund, with this young team that they have, there's a very famous quote, of course, in the English media from Alan Hansen way back in the day saying you'll win nothing with kids. And I think that on the whole, there is something to that. I think that only big exceptions will overcome that. And you look at just how settled this Bayern team is right now. They can cope with a few players being out. And I don't think that Dortmund quite have the same depth or indeed the same ability to kill games early on, so that the way that Bayern, for example, were able to breeze past Bielefeld by just getting the game won in the first half, and then that they can go into second gear for the second half. I don't think that Dortmund have that same ability, and it's really difficult to see past anything but a Bayern title win this season.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.